I'll just break into a car out there.
Two of them. Together on it.
Somebody call a car. Hey guys.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how about you?
Good.
What's that, breaking into that car?
Yeah, good. How the whole cost?
I used to be really good at that.
We'll go help them.
We used to valet park cars in Florida. Sometimes we'd leave the keys in them.
But Lisa locked her keys in.
They need the blow-up kit.
They have it.
They did?
Yeah, they're using it.
Oh, that's probably what he's got attached there. Now he's using the...
Yeah, you got like pushing the squeezy bolt.
We probably need a couple more officers out there to do that. And they
Maybe a
use...
little.
It was on yet, is it?
The bottom of the tank.
Is it really? No. It is.
All right, I'm gonna open up the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I get an approval of the minutes? Did everyone get a chance to read the minutes?
No.
And you have one more person coming? Or is it just Jen supposed to be? Tom, she's gonna do first. Okay. Not sure if I'm late on time. All right. Does anyone have any questions on the action items, the signatures, the payroll, the abatements, vacation requests?
I think your girl might be here, Mary. I think your girl might be here. So she just called me on the phone. Yep, she's telling it right now.
I need a motion to, just, on the Hannah Bridge project. I need a motion to, for the chair to sign the bid. It's a bid, right?
No, just make the motion to accept it.
To accept it,
I had a little
Oh.
cheat sheet.
not a sign, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't remember what
We
it said.
need a motion for the action items.
No, we need a motion for the minutes, but
Right.
Ed stated, he didn't
Okay.
see them and I didn't hear anyone make a motion,
Okay.
so we can still do a motion. So,
I make a motion to accept the bid for the bridge construction.
okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I think that motion is accepted. Karen, is that all you needed? That?
Yes, I think that will suffice.
Fire rescue monthly report, the building inspector monthly report, the highway department weekly schedule. Any questions about any of that? It looks like we had a bunch of new houses being built. Everything looked pretty good. Any questions about any of that? No? Informational items, the building inspector report, I had a question on 19 Rogers Road.
Mhm.
So we sent a letter to the owner about cleaning it up, and if they don't respond or they don't clean up, or do we give a time limit? And And if they don't, is there a time limit, and do we put a lien on that property for the cost that we incur to clean it up if we do clean it up?
Exactly.
So that's how it will, what's the time frame on
The
that?
law requires that we give him X amount of time, so the first notice went out. This notice was the second notice, and the building inspector gave him X amount of time to do that. If he doesn't, then the third notice will be that the town of Barnstead will have someone go and clean it. It will result in a lien against your property, because it has to be paid back to the town. We're incurring the costs. And so then, when he pays taxes or, pays anything, he'll have to pay that lien back for us.
So we charge him back whatever it costs us,
Yes, we do.
and we put a lien.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious about
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
So it's 5:15. Did you want to wait, or you want to move forward?
We'll go ahead.
Go ahead? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do our appointment at 5:15 with David Allen and Rhiannon from the Parks and Rec. So I think we have a letter
Yes,
from them.
Yes.
I don't know if you've had time to read it.
the updated one.
So,
So the first section is requesting approval to go ahead with the swim lesson program. We met yesterday with Karen, we went over it. Rhiannon's had several conversations with Wayne in terms of the safety practices. Those are all laid out. We can give you more detail if you would like. But we want to go ahead with it, and I think it's probably not going to be quite as smashing a success this year as it might have been some other year, but we'll find out. And
How many are currently registered?
I have about 8 or 9 kids currently registered.
And what's that program consist of? How long does it last? I mean, it's not a one-time deal, right? It's
We have 3 sessions that we could have planned. The first one to start June 20th and to run for Saturdays, from June 20th through August, I believe, 1st. Except for 2 Saturdays during that whole summer time frame. And then we have session 1, which is for 2 weeks during July, and then session 3 is for 2 weeks in August.
okay.
So it's basically a 10-day, 2-week trip for each kid for each session.
You only have 8 signed up right now?
What's that?
You only have 8 signed up right
We
now?
only have 8 or 9, and I think it's because people were holding off on wondering if the beach
If
is
you're gonna do
closed
it.
currently and the corona.
Because 8's not bad.
Right. We were gonna limit the class size to 9 students, plus the instructor, just to keep the class size smaller.
Yeah.
We were going to have parents on the beach to be with their kids, but based off of Corona going on, we're now limiting the number of people on the beach. So we're gonna have parents in their car having to wait in the parking lot just in case something were to happen, just to keep the numbers lower on the beach. So parents will be having to wait in their car, easy access for us to get to them if we need them. So only the students, unless it's the 2-year-olds, then they'll be asked to stay on the beach, but everybody else will be asked to wait in their car.
So the age grouping is,
We have parent and child, and then we have like a 3 to 5-year-old group, 6 to 8-year-old group, and then an older group. There's various groups. Well, I mean, even if you don't have a big turnout, at least you go through a learning lesson there. I think that's a good sign. That's a good thing. Yeah. Right, to go through the motions of it, so then next year you'll work out all the kinks. I think that's good, right? Yep. And this year, due to Corona, we do have a health screening questionnaire that we're gonna ask each parent for each child to bring before each lesson each day. I don't know if you saw it. It was very good. Yeah. Good job. That's based off of the CDC guidelines that we're gonna ask each day, so. Just wanna make sure for the instructor, for the public, and for each child in the class, and do we need a motion to approve that, or, I think is everybody have any issues with having them do swim lessons? I think we're all good with it. Yeah, and Wayne was good with it, he was very impressed with how you worked it all out, so good job, and, yeah, I think.
We just
you're good.
finally, yesterday, I got the approval from the Marine Patrol to place our swim lines. So we're going tomorrow tomorrow afternoon to place all the swim lines. So I don't know what needs to take place in order to now officially open it up to the public for the town. Well, not the public, but the town of Barnstead. But swim lines will be placed tomorrow afternoon.
Well, so we were just waiting to get the beach attendants in place.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have, I'm still so confused about these swim lines and buoys. Did we ever find the ones that we bought 3 years ago?
No.
No.
And did we give Rihanna permission to buy extras for the ones?
She has
that-
already done that. She's already.
It's okay for Marine Patrol to use ropes with swim noodles.
Yep.
We don't have to get the big, extravagant, expensive ones, so we're just gonna cut up the swim noodles, put them on the ropes, and outline it that way.
But what about the beach? Are you doing the swim lessons further down from the beach? Or are you doing it right on the beach?
We're doing it right on the beach, and when it's swim lesson time, we're gonna put an additional rope in a certain section, like not cut it in half exactly, but just a little section for the swimming part.
Okay.
We're gonna string it down that way, so it's gonna be 100 feet out, 140 feet wide on the beach there, so.
So once they put up those swim lines, are we opening up the beach?
No, so it's two separate things. Their program is totally separate from just the
Yeah,
beach
I know,
opening.
but-
So the beach opening, we just have to have beach attendants there.
Us.
Um,
Now we
and
have to wait for beach attendants.
yes, and so we have one beach attendant that works every year. The other one, it cannot do it, so we're looking for another one.
Did we
And
ask Rihanna?
we certainly did. And so Rihanna, we're hoping, will be the supervisor of the beach attendants. So,
Oh.
yes. Yes. So that works out good. There'll be 2 people. We have 2 people now, so hopefully a third one just makes it easier, for the hours.
So we just still need to find one more person?
Yes. So if anyone knows of any, teenager, 17, 18-year-old,
The description of it, is it on the town website?
the job description of the beach attendant, I don't believe it's on there yet.
How do
No.
people apply for it?
We haven't advertised because we were waiting for the beach to see if we could even open it.
Oh, I thought we were gonna go ahead, I thought we decided we were gonna go ahead and
No.
advertise the beach attendants.
At the last meeting, we said, I just have to wait for Wayne. So I was waiting for Wayne Santos to say, yes, we can open the beach. And of course, now the governor has opened beaches in New Hampshire, so we're still looking for one more beach attendant.
Okay. So once we have 2 beach attendants, we can open up the beach?
Well, we have 2 now. It is just all going to depend on the hours that they work, because you want a beach attendant there every day for the hours that the beach is open. So I'll work that out with Rhiannon and Sue. We'll see how many hours they can do. But yeah, we should be able to open relatively soon.
How does that work with asking the attendants to assist with the water safety swim lessons? Is the person that is on that works all the time that's coming back, have they agreed to do that, or have you asked them yet?
Are you asking about the beach the beach attendants on the beach? They are not, if they're there as the town beach attendant, they are not participating in the program. But if they want to work extra hours and assist them, they certainly can do that
That's what I'm saying.
when they're
one
not.
person that's come back
Right.
from year to year, you said we're
Right.
looking for one and we have one. Has that one agreed to do that, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The one that's coming back has agreed to do additional hours for us.
Yes.
Yes. I believe she's interested in
Oh,
doing
okay.
that.
Great, yeah.
But she'll be putting in a lot of hours at the beach if she and you are the only ones doing it.
But if we know if anybody knows somebody who might be interested, we should refer them to you.
Oh, please do. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I was wondering if we could just post something on the community page.
And we absolutely can, that
That's
we're
why I
looking
was
for.
asking, where's the information for the, because I thought we had approved to go ahead and at least to advertise for beach attendants to get it started. I remember doing that. I don't remember saying we were gonna hold off on it.
No, we said we have to find out if the beach can even open, because why pay for an advertisement and incur expenses if they had said, no, we can't open? So, we did reach out to the two people from last year, so we knew, you know, we had one person that would come back.
Okay.
And then Rhiannon had applied.
All right, so what were the second paragraph questions?
Okay, so, the question has been looked into and kind of went down the wrong road, in terms of the sign. There used to be a sign on the property of the old police station.
Oh, are you talking about the Big River Rec? Because
Yes.
that's farther down. I was just
Yeah.
going by the letter.
Okay, I'm going to the next thing that.
Okay, that's not the sign that the police department used, right? That I told
No,
you?
the Big River Recreation sign, it was, I don't think it was removed. Was it, Karen? It's still down there, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't,
There's the road that you go out when where the boat ramp is. There's a sign down there that says Big River Recreation Area.
There were two signs. There was a sign right by the bridge.
Yes.
That's still there.
Yes?
And there was a sign that came between the police department, the old police department, and the library. That entrance there.
That's the sign that the police department used to sign.
No.
Well, that sign that you're talking about, I haven't seen that sign there in years. I don't remember seeing that sign there. I just saw the sign for the police department.
It was there until the police department moved.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Karen, I'm not aware of that.
yeah.
Because nobody
right.
knew what the name of the recreation center is.
So, I mean, if it ain't around, it ain't around.
Yeah, I know.
We'll go forward from there.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think there has been one there for
All
a
right,
while.
so, then the question is, we've spoken to the owner, he doesn't want those old posts.
So they're yours.
So they're ours, we'd like to move them to the other side, the library side, and then put a sign up.
Did you talk to the library about doing
We
that?
have talked to the library, and Danielle's okay with it, as long as it doesn't get in her way. And her only question was not yet had a chance to talk to the police chief, but,
He's okay with the whole thing too.
yeah.
We just gotta know what the setback is from the road, where the supposed to be, it's right around.
So then, once we get that all sorted out, then we have the highway department, when it has the button,
George has agreed to give you guys a hand whenever you can.
that's
And if
what-
he's too busy, maybe you could get volunteers. I mean, I know that they're short-handed, but
Matter of fact, when he walks in right now, you can.
yeah, I'm sure George would help you, but
How should we contact them? Should we go through town hall or should we make direct contact?
Go to Karen, I think.
Yes, and George was in today and said he would He would volunteer his time to move the posts. But anything else beyond that, the highway department's time is pretty limited to road projects and.
Your ears were ringing, George.
okay, so volunteering, he's gonna volunteer. George, you said you were gonna volunteer to remove the post,
Yes.
but as far as taking up the asphalt, you don't have time for that. Okay, so does that answer those two questions? So I mean, can you get some volunteers to do the asphalt thing?
We will work on it.
Okay.
Certainly do that. And then the moving of the equipment off the property, we're gonna do that. Also,
Yeah. Well, at least he was.
We just need to know where the real property line is.
so,
Figure it out.
so I can, yeah. Okay, well, I'll, call him with my phone number, you can let me know, we can show you.
For you guys on a Saturday or whatever.
Yep,
Not this Saturday. Well, yeah, I think it's Saturday. You could be there.
Saturday's late, yeah.
Just name the time and I'll be there. Leave it up to you.
Let me check and make sure I haven't already do something else that evening. I'll be your call.
The monkey bar, what do you got, the monkey bars, right?
That orange climber they were complaining about.
Yeah, it's like
and,
20 bucks.
yeah, horseshoe pits and the floor for that.
And then the sign posts. That's it, right?
I think so, yeah. So we just don't know where the true property line lies,
Yeah.
so.
I understand you guys are gonna all go over there and
Yes, I have a copy of the whole survey that was done that should show the lines. I know they were saying that that you couldn't find any markers. So I was gonna contact Mark Sargent to be able to meet with us because he did the whole survey, the lot line adjustment. And then everyone will be on the same page, so the owners and the town knows.
Maybe a non-issue, the climber could be totally on our side, we could be okay.
Right.
We need to pull it up with concrete in.
No, we knew that. We knew that, and that's the jungle gym. We knew that that had to move. They thought they could just kitty corner it. We didn't realize it was concreted in. So it's not as simple as just being able to just turn it, but it doesn't have to move far, unless they want to give us an easement to let it stay there. Yeah.
I don't think they did.
Yeah, probably not.
So that's it in terms of what we're asking for action on. I did want to take a couple of minutes and give you a heads up on other things that we're working on that we will be bringing to you for action over the summer and fall. Number one is the purchase of the tractor. We've raised some money for that. Town meeting approved some money for that. We're gonna buy secondhand, most likely, which means that we'll need a fast turnaround from the time that we find what we're looking for, make a decision on it, and have a check to hand over to somebody. So, in our meeting yesterday, Karen assured us that there are mechanisms for doing that. So, when we actually start looking, which will be a few weeks before we do, we'll want to get the okay on that.
okay.
Where are you gonna store that once you get it?
In the garage.
In the garage where?
That barn in the arena, on the right.
Oh, okay. Didn't fit in there.
Yeah. We had a horrible time last winter with the flooding of the rink, and a lot of it had to do with the weather. But it also had to do with the fact that there's leakage in the existing setup. So every time it thaws, the water disappears, doesn't fill it up again. Again, there was money approved at town meeting. We've got a group that's looking at some options for some commercial kits. When that group has a recommendation, we'll want to get an okay to go ahead on that. The whole issue of the level is the one which is related to getting rid of the asphalt there. We haven't made a firm decision yet, but I think there's going to be pretty serious consideration about just trying to get rid of the asphalt, grass that area over, and level it out that way. Then during the summer, it can be used for field hockey or for some other kinds of activity. In any case, when we get to that point, we'll also be wanting to ask you about an okay on that. Two other items. Our goal is to develop the unused part of that space as a family-friendly park and a nature lakescape. It's a kind of a play area for kids that uses natural materials. We have a group that started working on that. We're going to pull them back together again when we get the plan for that. We'll bring that to you, keep you informed as we're going along. The one thing that we want to do as a first step is a section of that area plant some grass. And in order to do that, we need about 4 inches along on top of that sand and gravel. So again, best time I'm told to do that is in the fall. So we'll be coming and asking for approval of that expenditure. We are going to be submitting a grant proposal for some money to match with money that we have in the capital reserve fund and with volunteer time, and that's due in October. So I'm going to ask for approval of that grant proposal. And if you have any questions about any of those kinds of things, be happy to try to answer them. Otherwise, we'll keep you informed as we move along.
So are you clear on the questions of authority and responsibility as far as the Parks and Rec with the land and the beach and all that? Did you work all that out with Karen so there's all clarification now?
I think
Everything's
so.
all worked out?
Yes.
Very good. Does anyone have any Ed Tasker?
Dave, you mentioned you want to try to make grass grow down there, and you want to put in 4 inches of loam. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Have you priced out loam?
Yes. $23 a yard.
And how many yards do you, I don't know how to calculate it, but how many yards do you anticipate needing?
We figured it was somewhere between around $4,000 a loan for the section that we're looking at.
Okay. Now, the other question I have is, You are not, I assume, I hope, encroaching on the archery range.
We are absolutely not encroaching on the archery range.
That's all I want to know.
And, okay, fine.
Anybody else have any questions for David? And
You're-
Deanna?
Estimating somewhere around $4,000. Have you gotten bids or spoken to different people about the loan?
Yes,
Okay, I just want to make sure that some locals, maybe can give you some kind of a deal, try to help out.
When it
Yeah.
comes time, we'll go something.
I'm sorry.
When it comes time, we'll probably go something and see if anybody local
Yeah.
has,
Great.
you know what I think.
That would be great.
People are always saying they want to help anyways.
Yeah.
Laura Joyce has a lot of cow manure too. I think we used it, and I'll tell you, we didn't get any weeds in our garden. Hardly any weeds, and I was like, oh, we're not getting any weeds like we normally get. And they gave us a whole truckload of it. And I swear to God, it was really good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Well, bring someone to my house.
Well, I got it. My husband went down and Lauren Joyce gave it to him, but you know, I'm just saying, Lauren Joyce.
We're gonna have to put this over.
But yeah, so all right, I think we're good. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I wish we could have more activity.
We have a lot more plans.
I know. Hang in there. Hang
Yeah,
in
You
there.
guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.
thanks very much.
Thank you for the time.
Okay. George, did you come for a department update?
Pretty much,
All right.
or a beating,
Huh?
or a beating, same difference.
So I'll just go back to the beginning and after. So George, how's things going?
We are plugging along, we're getting, another week, I'll have Lock Lake completely graded. And probably the week after that, I'll finish everything in Townof Barnstead, graded, calcium, rolled, and I'm headed to the other side of town to finish that. And that'll take care of all my calcium for the year. So, we got,
So you're gonna, are we paving North Barnstead this year? I forgot. I know we're doing Beecham
Beecham.
and Shackford
And Shackford.
and Home.
Right.
Not North Barnstead. Okay.
and then I got two guys, excavator in the truck, they'll be finishing Lock Lake tomorrow. Then we're coming to Holmes Road, saw cut them culverts, and get those in the ground.
Is Shackford Corner Road all ready for paving?
Shackford Corner does not need any culvert.
Really? That's good.
Culverts are all in real good shape, and I inspected every one of them. They're all RCP concrete pipe, they're good and solid, there's no deterioration whatsoever. So I said, well, why spend money on culvert when we have good culvert? So we're not gonna touch it. We got 120 feet on Holmes Road, and that's about 2 days worth of work. And those will be done.
Very good.
They say it's coming tomorrow, and my culverts arrived yesterday. So we're good to go with that.
So North Barnstead will be next year?
I haven't looked to see, I think it is, isn't it, Karen?
I believe that's on the plan for next year.
So, other than that, I mean, it's just business as usual.
So everything's good?
Everything is good. Yeah.
All right, jumping, I have something with George.
Okay.
Karen, what was the bid for those roads this year from Walcott, do you know?
For
paving?
for paving, I don't have them in front of me, no, so I don't
believe it
recall.
was 345.
And what
For
do you
all?
have for paving?
For paving, Shackford Corner.
No, what
I think it's 545, we have
Yeah,
300,000 in road paving, 200.
That is
200.
something coming
budget or vice versa, and I think we had 45 left over.
I should have taken it from the shed tonight, I left, I should have.
That's okay, yeah. I think it's around 545 that we have in
I'm
capital
sorry, what
reserve.
is it?
545,
Okay.
roughly.
Did we budget any as a regular operating too?
Yeah, you have.
600
right.
something was the total, wasn't it?
Right, in your paving line, you have either 200 or 300,000, that's what you do every year, and then in the capital reserve, it's either the 3 or the 200,000 each year.
The reason I ask is I've talked with George about this. As I've brought up a few times, Ed has discussed as well, the way these roads are. And they're cracking after 2 years, some 3 years, 4 or 5 years. And it's not normal, and as Ed has spoken to, it's what's under them. It's coming up through and they're not done correctly. They do an overlay, which is a waste of asphalt, which is what we're paying for, the inches that we're paying for in some places. So I asked George, the right way to do it, which we probably all know, is to reclaim. Put it back down again and use it, but it's quite an expense. So I asked George if there was one of these companies that reclaims, are willing to reclaim and put it back down again, and then we do the grading, because we've got probably the best grader operator in the world right here, and the rolling and the maintenance on it, take care of it, put that base back down again, instead of losing it, instead of an overlay, and start doing these roads right. And I'll let George speak here in a minute. We had a discussion, and he tells me these roads would be good for 15 to 20 years if they were done right like that with reclaiming. Again, it's an expensive process, but he looked into it and talked to some of these friends of his and these guys in the business that reclaim. And with him doing the grading, the rolling, the maintaining, getting it up to snuff for pavement, would save us a lot of money, and we'd start doing these roads right instead of the way they've been done. They would, pick everything out as they reclaim the rocks and everything, like Ed had said, that come up through, and there's not much you can do about it. So he has spoken to some of these people about it, and I'll let you take it, George. It just seems like the right thing to do for the future.
Last Friday, I met with Busby's estimator, and we rode over Peachum, did mileage, cut out. We actually ran string lines here and there to see how much deflection we had in them roads. Some places are 10 to 14 inches. That's 10 to 14 inches. You're gonna put down 10 inches of asphalt, for your shim, because you're talking shim and overlay. And then you gotta do your top coat on top of that. We did the same thing up here. It's the same thing. Your deflection in these roads, they're so out of shape. There's rocks coming up through, in some cases, there's rocks this big. You can see, where it sets. So, that being said, we sat down, we run some numbers. We ran numbers, and he says, I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll bring my reclaimer and my pad foot roller to work behind the reclaimer. You do the grading, rolling, and watering. I will do this 4 miles for you, which is total length of all these roads, for $54,000.
So can you just explain to me a little bit what you guys are talking, because I'm not up on how this all works. So when you say, we'll do all this work and it'll be $54,000, are you saying that instead of having Walt Cock come in and doing a shim overlay on Peachum, we're gonna just grind it down and bring it back to reclaimed asphalt like North Barnstead Road is now?
Yep, they reclaim
And
it.
not have paving?
No,
Okay.
you'll pay it. I don't know if we'll have the money to do it this year, but at least if it's the ground,
So you're like saying start the road all over again
basically.
and get it to where it should be before we pave it?
Yes.
Instead of paving over stuff that isn't working, just like when you see,
Yes.
Colbath Road is starting to crack now, and that wasn't done that long ago, and Shackford's starting to crack now, and it was cracking after the first year.
Like Ed had said, it's what's under them. And so what they're doing is shim and overlay. You're just putting pavement down and then paving over that. So that's what you've got for a base, is your shim and overlay and whatever's under there. With reclaiming, they come through, round it all up, and put that back down. That's your base, and take all the rocks and things out. That's what you use as your base, and then they pave over the top of that. So you got a good solid base under there, and it's gonna last a hell of a lot longer.
You can figure 10 to 15 years life on a road.
Without doing the 5-year maintenance plan, like doing an overlay after 5 years?
After 5 years, you could probably get away with doing a chip seal, which gives you an added 10 years, because they come through, they spray it with a liquid base asphalt.
Yeah,
And then they come over it with a machine, spreading 3/8 stone, rolled in by 3 rollers, pneumatic roller, and then 2 vibratory rollers. And they set this stuff in. They let it set for 5 to 6 days, they come in and sweep it off, and that stone is in that asphalt. That's your wear base, that's your wear base.
because I remember when I took the road maintenance class, they were teaching us about roads and how, you know, we're laughing at Barnstead, but, you know, they were saying that, you know, there've gotta be a 3 to 5 year maintenance plan on once you pave these roads.
You need to do pavement preservation.
Yeah, and
Because if
we
you
don't do that here either, and that's why I'm kinda listening to what you're saying,
And this
because,
is what's happened. You know, there has not been any pavement preservation per se.
no, there hasn't.
Do you
So
have,
this is why our roads look the way they look and ride the way they ride.
Do you have an example of a road that was roughly 10 years old that is reclaimed?
Yep.
That I might have been on, that I can,
I can show you one in Chichester that we did, that was done 12 years ago. And it was chip sealed 3 years after, and that road is just as good today as it was 10 years ago.
George, 54,000 is not a lot of money in the grand scale of this budget. Where would you take from?
I don't know. This is what I'm trying to figure out, I don't know, that's why I'm sitting here.
Another point to that, Ed, is, that guy gave, that's probably a one-time
That
deal
is
this
what it
year
is.
to get him started
Probably,
right.
it might be a one-time offer, it may not be.
Right.
You know, I mean, he's good enough to come in here and help us out and do this, to get these roads back in shape.
That was
So
my
we
point,
do that
was
So-
trying to find this money.
So
And-
You'd have to take it out of your paving budget.
Right,
I mean, it'd have to come out of
Right.
the paving budget.
you're gonna have to give,
You got 245,000
Right.
in that.
and you might wanna get a new estimate from Wolcott on paving, because that was subject.
I wanted to see what happened here tonight and call Jimmy.
And can I ask a question? So the reclaim that he quoted, are those all the roads that you were gonna pave this year
Yeah.
anyway?
Beach
Okay,
and
okay.
Shack and
Yeah.
It's
all.
4 miles there,
4 miles?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Total 4 miles.
Okay.
but it, yeah, and, you know, I don't know if we can find the money, we can find the money, or we can work it out, but we only have so many paved roads, and you're gonna go in a cycle and start doing them again. And if there's a possibility of starting them now, like this, and doing them right, maybe we can start, then we can look for that, find that money each year going forward. But this is gonna save the town money down the road, obviously.
We also need to look at the roads we've already done, and start doing some pavement preservation of
Yep.
the roads.
yeah, absolutely.
Are you using your crack sealing money at all?
Yeah, he's coming in August.
In August?
Yep, he wants to wait until August because he's busy for one, and he likes to do it when it's extremely hot, for the most part.
This is something that I've never really understood. I spoke with George Batchelor over in Pittsfield, and George was hell-bent to do his crack sealing first thing in the spring.
Really?
And his idea was, gotta get it sealed before the water gets in. And now you hear from, his name, Drew?
No, Henry Dow.
Dow. He wants to do it in the summer when it's hot.
Yep.
So it would be really nice to know when the optimum time to do the crack sealing is.
I guess if we haven't had a lot of rain in the summer, I guess it wouldn't matter. In the spring, I mean, this spring's been unusually wet anyway. But I totally get what you're saying. You get that water in those cracks, you know, it's there. So I guess it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other. But I did talk with Henry about a month ago, and he said he's got me on the books for August.
Okay. Well, I guess my opinion is that you need to sit down, sharpen your pencil, and decide where you're not going to be able to pave this year to come up with $54,000 to do this reclaim, which obviously is a good move. It's just too bad we hadn't known about this back before before town meeting. We could have put the money in the budget to do it.
I don't understand why nobody really talked about reclaiming before now.
Well, now we have somebody we've got people who are taking a big concern about this, which is I'm really happy about, because we need to do something about it. I'd rather spend the 54,000 somewhere and get it done the right way. These roads should be our biggest, right up there on the top of the priority list.
The roads, nobody's gonna move.
I
Right.
think in the next these roads that are bad are wearing on our town vehicles. Fire, police, never mind.
How many
people's
times
vehicles
the police vehicles are always equipped with suspension
and alignments, and
Like plowing.
it's not just the people, it's the town equipment. Highway,
Try plowing.
yeah. So I guess,
I'll call Jimmy tomorrow and talk to him and see if he wants to rebid it for reclaim. And see what we come up with. So,
I'd like to see the bidding process run a little better than it has too. There's some really good companies out there that are
well,
apparently haven't been offered to bid.
you can ask
Well, it
for
goes out in the newspaper, I mean, it's up to them to, it's not.
Board voted when Andy got 3 bids. I believe the board voted to use Walcott for the paving projects this
I
year.
have it right there.
Yes,
One thing
That's
about
the
Walcott,
green
when they say
one.
they're
That's
gonna be
Walcott.
here, they're here that day.
yeah.
And they do lay down nice mix. So,
So the savings would be with them possibly in the shim and over.
yeah, that would probably almost pay for reclaim, just taking away the shim and all, all the shim.
So if there's a possibility this could be done, right? Is that possible?
So I'll call Jimmy tomorrow and have him come down and rev up again, we'll meet on it and go over the roads and have him rework his numbers. You know,
Yeah.
for shim.
And then I'll sit down with you in the budget.
Yep,
We'll go over the figures, the paving that we have,
absolutely,
and we'll look at the figures. Okay.
absolutely.
Let's see what we can do.
Excellent.
Thank you.
We will, I'll have some answers hopefully in the next meeting too.
Excellent, George.
Okay.
And Gary. Follow up.
I believe that would be it. I want to start doing some mowing here soon, once I get my grading done, then I can get into some mowing. I haven't been able to get any done because we put Chris in the office, which was a godsend. And so I'm gonna, once I get my grading all done, then I'll start getting the mowing going.
Who are you gonna put in the mower?
Did you ask Chris about Fridays? Wasn't that the original plan?
Yeah.
I didn't know if we
Seeing if we could get him another day to do mowing?
I mean, if he wants to mow on Fridays, I'm more than happy to let him.
Yeah, well, we decided we were gonna do that, if he was
So,
willing to do it, and
I'll
I think
talk
he
to
said
him.
he was,
I'll talk to
one
him
extra
tomorrow.
day.
If he wants to mow, that's fine with me. I'll send him on his way with it.
The other guys doing well?
Yeah, the new guy, I figured out, he's he's a nervous Nelly, because he wants to do everything right. Which in turn, sometimes goes the opposite. So, I got thinking about it this afternoon, and I went back up, because he was laying calcium. And I went up, and I just praised him up and down. He calmed right down and did a beautiful job. I said, okay, that's all it takes. Figured that one out. So, but he's done a good job so far.
Good.
Nathan, I haven't got an answer. I should have an answer tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask you
Because
that.
being an MP, guess where he's been the last week?
Right.
So he did come home last night. He had to go back to Lebanon today, and then he's gonna go to Manchester tomorrow for something. He said he should have an answer tomorrow. I said, well, I hope it's the right one. So I won't have to deal with the army. But,
Doing his duty.
yeah, he is, he signed up for it, but he said he wasn't doing it again. He said he would not sign his name again.
How old is he, George?
22. So, you know, like he said, it's been a good experience, but he said, I don't want to make a career of this. So, it's up to you.
Well, military's.
Anyway,
All right, well, is there anything else, George?
I do believe that's it.
Well, thank you so much for your
You're
hard
welcome.
work.
I don't have an answer. I'll let Karen know.
Great, thank you.
I'd still like to do a ride around with you and look at trees.
Yeah, let me think. How about this Friday?
Okay,
What time? I'll pick you up.
fine. Call me first.
Okay.
He's awake.
3:30 in the morning, okay?
What time?
Try around 11 o'clock.
3:30?
Will that work?
I'll probably be
Listen,
awake.
I'll buy you coffee to keep you awake.
I'll probably be awake, don't worry about that, but once I get asleep, it's tough to wake up. I think that the whole idea of cutting trees is a bigger project than even you or I think it is.
Oh, we gotta
Because
do something.
not only are we dealing with the trees that are growing on the edge of the road and the stumps that are left afterwards, now we're dealing with the ashes that are dying.
Yep.
And if you don't cut them now, when they come down in one piece, you're gonna deal with them later when they come down in pieces
Yeah.
all over your road.
Right. I did notice Aspen's been taking a lot of those ash trees, anything going down the road near the power lines. I've noticed that. So
Chichester cut a lot of them.
they cut a ton of them. Yeah, they cut a ton of them.
I did speak with a friend of mine who's a forester up in Alton, and if you can cut a log with a 10-inch on the small end that's got a clear core, there's actually some log value to it. It's not just cordwood.
Oh, maybe we ought to just start cutting them and send them off to the mills.
Why not?
Make a little money on it.
I absolutely cringed at those oaks that were cut up on the Garland Road, all went to firewood.
Well, some of them are still laying in the woods.
I know. Somebody that's hell-bent had to have them, hasn't done a damn
Just
thing with
laying
them.
there, just rotting now.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a waste of good wood.
It's too bad that the town couldn't accumulate a supply of cordwood, log length, and that it could be worked up and dispensed by the welfare director as
We
needed.
used to do. Back years ago when I worked here with Bill, you know, he'd cut firewood for somebody and haul it to their house, cut it, split it, take it to their house, they'd have warm. So,
And if you can keep them warm with a cordwood, it's a hell of a savings over fuel oil.
it is. So, maybe we should be looking into that, I guess.
I'll wait to hear for your call on Friday.
Okay,
Thanks, George.
you're welcome. I'll give you a call about 8:30, 9 o'clock, that sound good?
Yep,
All right. I don't want to wake you up too early.
good.
I know you need your beauty sleep in.
You just go to bed.
Huh?
You just go to bed at that time.
He's better than me.
Thanks, George.
All right, talk to you later, thank you.
You bet.
Alright, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning. Diane hasn't had a chance to review the minutes, but, everyone else has, I assume. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One abstain for now.
Ed, do you want to pass the folder to Diane?
All right, so,
If you pass it that way.
letter to the SAU regarding the trust fund request. So Karen, what was that letter?
That was just regarding, after-school meeting, the business administrator requested, that, the SAU be reimbursed for expenses that they had paid. One was fixing, a roof at the school, and the other was the outdoor freezer that had to be repaired. Apparently, the request had been overlooked because the work had been done in 2019. And so typically, SAU will send me, trustee of the trust funds, a letter asking to be reimbursed. And so when I was going through it, I happened to notice that the minutes, when the school board voted to pay these, the minutes reflected that the freezer was $22,000, not $23,000, and the bid was $23,000. So when they requested $23,000 from me, I have to look at the minutes and I have to see what was approved. They had only voted $22,000, so I asked for clarification on that. And I also asked for clarification where they had paid these invoices out. One of the invoices was paid before the end of the school year in June of last year. The other one wasn't paid out until August. And of course, their year runs July to June. So the invoice that they had paid out in June, the business administrator had I CC'd the auditor because we have the same auditor as the SAU. And I just wanted to get clarification. She had said that the first invoice where it was paid in June would not need reimbursement. So I didn't want to reimburse them if the trustees didn't have to pay it. So it's just for clarification. I just sent it out, CC'd everyone on it. Because as trustee of the trust funds, we have to follow rules as well. We have to have minutes, we have to see invoices because we get audited. So, yeah.
So I had another question about the SAU. Last we talked, you sent out an email to the board about, regarding the Belmont, the thing that Lisa brought up, lowering school costs. Did you ever draft a letter for that?
I did not. I had sent out the email. I believe both you and Gary had said, yes, you would be in support of that. Diane had emailed back and she said they're very conservative. It's to the end of the year. If you want to speak to that, Diane. So she didn't.
By about May is when board will typically really stop spending, and when it comes to encumbering any type of monies, it's anything that comes back from Prospect Mountain always will go back to the town. We never encumber any money that would be Prospect Mountain money, ever. When it comes to the Barnstead School Board, I think typically the most I remember my time being on they've ever encumbered might be $20,000 for a repair that they just wouldn't do it in that own budget. Now you're looking at this $183,000 that they got from the state, from funds. That's gonna have to come back. As far as I know, those monies were never touched, never encumbered. I don't know what they may have encumbered, but going to the minutes that I've seen so far, I haven't seen anything that they've encumbered. That could happen potentially at the next meeting. I don't see it because I think it's so unknown what's gonna be going on forward and with remote learning and whatnot. I don't see anything other than what they had planned to do for building repairs, which they, I think, have for the building maintenance fund.
Right.
But typically, they're very conservative when it comes to, I think for the select board to send a letter saying that don't spend any money, I think A is gonna probably be met with not good feelings. Because I know anytime we ever got letters from the select board, I would be like, who do they think?
So I did not
So they're
prepare a
very
letter.
conservative when it comes to encumbering any money.
So I wasn't sure that it was good for the board of selectmen to say don't spend any money.
Right.
That wasn't really what I was asking, but when I was reading this, it talks about, the superintendent talking with the selectmen,
Now that's Belmont.
Yeah. No, but it was the approach they used.
Right.
So, I'm talking more about the approach. So I didn't know if we wanted to, make sure that we had communication, or Karen had a meeting with them, or something in a professional approach. to make, to say, hey, we're looking at, say, maybe we could save some money in a professional way, not anything saying, don't spend any money.
Right,
I mean,
and that wasn't my question. I would
Well,
never
yeah, well,
address
I think
them
what
in that manner.
there's only two mechanisms that can allow the school board to keep any type of money whatsoever. One is to encumber it, and as I said, the May minutes, they haven't, but I have seen. Two, they would have had to pass a warrant article that states they can keep up to 2% of the fund balance. Barnstead School Board has never done that, so there is no mechanism that would allow the school board to keep any monies, period. So I mean, there's gonna be a lot of funds that should be coming back to help offset taxes.
Right, but I just think it makes sense for either Karen or a select person, or are you the select board? You're the select board rep for school, aren't you? I don't know. Huh?
I could call and inquire casually to just say, you're gonna be spending any less, I don't think that, I don't.
No, I'm not talking about that. I don't know if did you have a chance to
I
read
didn't
this?
see that, but I think
It just looked like they got together so they could plan, for those, to know exactly what kind of savings they were looking at. So the town could plan on it, the school is planning on it, kind of working together to look at what those savings could be. And I think it just makes good practice, and to develop a good relationship with the school, this could be a good time to do that. And I don't know whether it will be a school rep, a selectman's rep that would be the right person, or Karen would be the right person, but I think it's a good time to, start developing a better relationship with the school.
See, I don't think it's bad, but I think that's because, for example, and I know, probably because
Just to
was on the board
communicate
for
better
so
about
long.
finances.
Yeah, because I was on, so it's like secondhand, and I understand, and you probably know as well, because I'm sure, wife being a school employee, she talks about it.
I don't know either.
That's what I was going to say too. I have nothing, but past years.
For the record.
The practice of the Barnstead School Board was any monies, and that's what the majority of the money that.
No, I understand how the school board
works.
works.
Is usually what the fund balance was.
Right, no, I
Not all
understand
came
how that
back.
works. I just think we're in a different time.
They only have the one warrant article, which is, I think, the building maintenance, was
Right.
that up to 85,000 or something? I think they lowered that, didn't they, from the 100?
Actually, well, the 85 was to do with the generator.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really 150, but
But they have their standard building maintenance, which is.
I think
up to
125,000
Yeah,
is what they
125.
do
So
every year.
basically, if they only had 50,000 in their fund balance, that's the only thing that would go to.
Exactly.
They wouldn't take the money from anywhere else, so, but that board was always very frugal about giving monies back, so.
I know exactly how that works. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be a great time, because of this unusual circumstances, where you see other towns working with schools in their budgets, to maybe be a good time for us to start developing that relationship we keep talking about. We're opening up better communication with the school and working better together with the school. I think this could be a very nice time, not to say, no, don't spend money, but to open up start developing a better communication relationship with the school, so everybody's informed of what savings the school's having, and how the town should plan for that, about what monies we may be losing when property tax time comes, and for everybody to kind of be sharing in the concerns of the town and the school and the financial
And I
situation.
think that would be good, just not right now with what's been happening with the school district, where they have a temporary business administrator who doesn't necessarily know. I think going forward, perhaps next year, better than this year, only because she's not really familiar with exactly
Right.
what is going to be saved, what is going on.
Right.
They thought there'd be savings with the business administrator that left, there isn't. That indicates that they bought the contract out versus her resigning and leaving, so, that
And I think,
to me is what happened with that issue.
and I think we've really already started that relationship. I've met with the superintendent twice. I've gone over to the SAU office. I've spoken with Heidi. So I think that we've already started that process, and we'll continue that.
I just think it's a good idea, I understand about what's going on with the school
Yeah.
right now, I just
So going forward.
I just think we need to keep the lines of communication open and build a better relationship, and that's all.
All right. Now, Laurie, you are as naive as they come. Do
Well,
you think that I've sat here for 20 odd years and that this board has not tried to work with the school board? Do you really think that? And do you think it's our fault?
I think there's always room for improvement.
Let me tell you
Speaking
something.
as being on the other side, let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something.
You don't need to argue
There's
about
two
it.
ways to build a budget. There's two ways to build a budget. One is to do as this board has done for years and years and years and years, and that is to cut a nickel here and cut a nickel there, to the point where when it comes down to it, we don't have enough money to do what we want to do. Whereas the other way to build a budget is the way the school board has done it, and that's to put a little extra in here and a little extra in there. Why do you suppose they have so much money left over at the end of the year? Why do you think that?
It doesn't matter, Ed. All I've heard since day one of being involved in the town, and I don't know when I started doing that, 5 years ago, but ever since I've been involved, that's all I've heard come out of your mouth and other people's mouths, that, the school doesn't work with us, this, that, and the other thing. And I think that that's fine, but let's move forward.
Good.
Let's move forward in a positive way, and it doesn't hurt to try.
Yep.
And as long as we all stay professional and respectful and be kind, and we move forward and we try to just communicate with each other, that's all that matters. We have to keep moving forward. We can't think about what happened last year, the year before, or 10, 20 years ago. It doesn't matter.
Maybe it doesn't to you, but it does to me and a good many other Barnstead residents who've lived there their whole lives.
You have to recognize that the town budget and the school budget are two very different animals, with two very different
Comes out of the same
requirements and
pocket.
regulations. It
Comes
does
out
come
of
out of
the
the same
same
pocket,
pocket.
but we have a lot more
Only
mandates.
80% of it comes over theirs.
But there's a lot more mandates on the school budget than there is on the town budget, I hate to say it.
And to both points, that's why it's so important that we do move forward and we try to develop a better relationship with the school, so we are communicating better and we both understand each other. And school tries to understand the town tries to understand the school, and we work together. That's all I'm saying. And if we don't start somewhere, it's never gonna happen.
Well, I
Sitting
want
around
you-
bitching, moaning, and complaining about it isn't getting us anywhere.
I want you to draft a letter and say, please, school board, we'd like to work with you. Could you meet with us on a given day and see how many of them show up? Okay?
So we talked about that, and we talked about.
Who did?
Um,
Who's we?
I think it was Karen and I did. I can't
Don't-
remember who it was. But we talked about maybe talking to the board about meeting with the school every quarter, Karen, remember that conversation?
I don't think it was that often, but it would be nice to meet, before budgets, once a year, just to maybe see what the school is proposing. What would be a good thing to know is if they are proposing a big project. If they were proposing an addition and we were gonna propose an addition here, we'd wanna know that, and we'd wanna work together so that you're not hitting the people with a huge tax increase. So big projects, I think definitely we should be able to meet,
I think any kind of open
Once-
communication like that with all the departments, including the school, is worth the effort. And as long as they keep giving money back every year, helping the taxpayer out, I'm all for whatever works.
But I think the problem is neither one of them understand each other, just like she was saying, like Barnstead residents who talks about, and Rick even said the same thing. A lot of the people from Barnstead that have lived here forever and ever and ever, they're the ones that pretty much get very aggravated with the school.
Right.
But all I'm saying is, let's change that. Let's try to move forward and open up lines of communication so we do better understand where the school's coming from, and the school should open up their lines of communication to understand where the town's coming from.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. If we had Karen go to a school board meeting every quarter and just bring back some information, or just try to.
Wait. You want Karen to go to a school board meeting? Why don't you have the school board come to a selectmen's meeting?
Or have a school board come to a
There you
selectmen's
go.
meeting.
Oh, you send the
Yeah,
letter,
well, all right.
and let's see how many people show up. Because I know the answer to this question. You
They
don't.
don't meet every Tuesday night.
Tuesdays.
They don't meet every Tuesday night.
They meet one Tuesday start meeting probably. Well, maybe not if we're doing every other Tuesday then.
So,
Hopefully.
we can have
Oh,
a
no,
meeting.
I will have
I
no
bet you.
problem whatsoever.
I mentioned
I
live
have a good
applicants
relationship
would
with
be
most
open
of them.
to come in once a quarter to a board of selectmen meeting, to give us an update on how the school is doing. What, can we write a letter to her and, I mean, what does everyone think about that? To invite the school board chair to come visit us once a quarter and just give us an update on how things are going and just to open up lines of communication.
Doing with everybody else, and we get money to line up.
I just think it's a good idea. Would everybody agree to that? So can you like send a letter from us saying, we'd like to invite you once a quarter to come visit us and give us an update on how the school is doing?
She
And
can always delegate it to the superintendent.
Absolutely.
He likes to talk.
yeah, but we don't know. No, I can't say that we're on the public.
And then we can hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
I like Lila Atkins because
No
Lila
hugging
has
yet.
been
She's
there
the
a while.
champ.
We have to wait another month or two for hugging.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we do that? So Karen, you're gonna do that? Okay, so the forestry permit, anyone have any questions on that? So are we, just to go back to the whole garage and the police thing, do we wanna just, do we want to,
He asked that that be a non-public because there's sensitive information on that
Okay.
if you're going to
I
discuss.
think it was just gonna be whether or not we approve the
Okay.
garage.
Perfect.
And that's
Yep.
public. Does
Yep.
anyone wanna have a private discussion about it, or are we still sticking to what we originally said and no on the garage?
I have no idea how we can justify spending $2,500
Okay.
for a light.
So
You know,
everybody
I-
in
I-
agreement
I'm
with
sorry,
that?
I can't find it.
Okay, all right, so can you just let the police chief know that?
Yep, we're not going forward with.
We're not going forward.
Okay, no problem.
Did you need a motion for you to sign this?
Yes, could you make a
No,
motion?
I'll make a motion, that we have the chair sign the, Comfort Care 365 HVAC maintenance agreement.
And any questions on
Second.
that? Is there any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright.
Opposed, abstained. Karen, do you have anything for us?
I do, just a couple quick things. One, the alarm security company came and put the new hardware on the door. There's a couple little cosmetic areas that, maybe Rick would be willing to help us with. I can talk to you about that later.
All right.
But it's working very well, so we're glad to have that done. The other thing, the police chief would like to thank Rick Tarian for the flag that he brought over to the PD.
Yeah, for the no pole.
And, right.
We have a
And
pole
they
across
don't
the street
have-
that
well,
he doesn't want.
They don't have the flagpole they want, but, you know.
But, I mean, there is one across the street that I'm sure they'll give up.
And then the deputy fire chief came over, Al Poulin, and he wanted the selectmen to be invited on Monday evening, the 15th. They're going to have demonstrations on the new rescue tools. So the fire chief had talked about having to purchase some new
The
tools.
vendors coming on
The vendors are
Monday?
gonna be there, so they're gonna do the demonstrations, it'll be outside, if it rains, they'll just move it inside.
What time was that?
6 PM for any select board member that would like to attend.
I'm gonna,
Yep, and
Can you bring us back and tell us how that goes?
We'll take pictures if you want.
Yeah, very good. I think we
that's
should.
at this one here, or?
that's right here at the center station. Yep. All right. And then I received information from the Municipal Association, and also Paula Penny had passed on from her office that the rooms and meal, that the revenues that we get, it's over $200,000, we will be getting that this year. There was.
We will?
Yes, because the way they base the payout is on previous year revenue.
So does that mean next year we won't get any money?
So next year, we'll have to look at it a little more closely, but for this year, we will have that revenue. The highway block grant, however, they're suggesting that when we're looking at our revenues, we might want to cut that about 7.5% from what we normally get. And I'll watch that as we go further.
Which one does that usually pay for the,
Well, the highway block grant just comes in as revenues because it offsets the highway budget. And
Okay.
all our revenues just offset the budget, and then we use the revenues to set our tax rate. So,
and the 7.5% cut?
so they're saying, yeah, you should probably figure on about a
How much do we usually get
7.5%.
from that every year?
It's,
Usually the amount.
yeah, around 200,000.
Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
thought.
Yeah, so, and I was gonna say it's in your budget, but it's in the revenue side. And so then the other concern that they're still talking about is the absentee voting. So they're thinking, there was a hearing yesterday, and there's an amendment to the House bill that would allow for towns to process absentee ballots prior to the day of the election. It's still, they passed the amendment because they're really concerned that where the governor is allowing absentee voting, if people don't want to come out, this is all, of course, due to COVID, so they're anticipating a lot of absentee ballots. And of course, the clerk, town clerk, and the supervisors, moderator have to run those all through the machines to get a tally. So that's where we are on that. So they may be able to do that days before. Whether that makes it easy or not, it's still up in the air. And so then the next thing, I think everybody saw the email from Suzanne Allison regarding the library. And you've already passed the agreement, so that's good. That will bring it down to just one vendor that's taking care of everything at the library. Her other question was about painting the trim. So I haven't acted on that because she had mentioned Diane.
Yeah,
maybe.
and I thought that was all resolved, because I know when Wayne was on here, he said that the library said that they got a low bid. It's not, it's galvanized. It's
Right.
not, so they just have to make sure that it's absolutely clean before they paint over it.
Okay.
No real anything other than,
What do you mean it's galvanized? Metal?
yeah, it's galvanized. It's not actually paint flaking off wood. It's actually paint flaking off galvanized. That's what it is. It's
So it's been,
galvanized,
so the wood's been wrapped with metal.
yeah, and what the problem is it's the whatever type of paint that they're putting on it is flaking off because probably the galvanized steel hasn't been completely.
Why was it painted to begin with?
I have no idea. I guess it's been painted over the years, hasn't it?
How much
Yeah.
is there?
I'm not sure how much trim that they need to do.
I think the bid was about 3,000, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was something they had gotten last year, so I'll see if I can pull those bids out and you can at least look at it.
Yeah, let me take a look at those.
Right.
And I said check the minutes because I thought we.
But it's not painting it, right? They're just gonna rip it off and put new stuff on, right?
No, they're gonna repaint. They
Yeah,
just,
because I think it's part of the old part of the building.
The
So I don't know
building,
if it's
right.
historic or what,
Didn't we
Okay.
get bids on that?
we did, but it's been so long now and no action was taken, so they're gonna have to revisit it. But speaking of galvanized, so I don't know if you've noticed outside the selectman's office door here, it's green paint, and of course that's all peeling off. So when the deputy fire chief came over, Al said, if you don't mind, I'll paint the door for you, just on my free time. And he explained to me, because it was galvanized, when you take the paint off, you have to wash it down with vinegar. And he said, it's gotta be a strong solution, whatever, but then the paint should hold.
And that's the same thing with what's over there. as
Right, so
well.
while you're saying that, I'm thinking of, maybe
Because
that's.
it's, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of the old part of the building, galvanized
Mm-hmm.
still. 'Cause I think they thought it was the wood and it was rotting, but it's not, it's galvanized still. It's just whoever has been painting it over the years,
Just painted,
Yeah, and I think they probably like scraped it, but they didn't get it down to the,
what, okay,
so
yep.
that they could clean it.
And so the last thing I have is just the office staff has had a couple discussions about reopening town hall. Some towns are, some towns aren't. I'm gonna meet with Wayne and we'll talk about that. The library sent an email wondering when we would reopen. They wanted to maybe reopen at the same time. I reached out to the fire chief and I asked him when they were gonna reopen, and he's gonna get back to me. So there's pros and cons with reopening, not. So as soon as, I'll talk to Wayne, see what his suggestion is. I know I've checked a couple other towns.
What's the DMV do?
What's that?
What's the DMV doing?
I don't know if, I don't know if they're opening on Monday or not.
I didn't think there was, I think
Or
they're expanding,
services.
to certain locations, but I'm pretty, like, I know Epping is still closed down and
Okay,
appointment only.
yeah. Yeah. I know the town clerk tax collector office really wants to open. They feel they could handle this much better. Some of the office staff is not comfortable opening this soon. They'd like to wait a little bit longer. So there's things to consider, if you have your 6-foot distance, well, in our lobby, that's gonna be 2 people in the lobby. Then someone's gonna have to monitor the door. Or you keep the door locked and let people in as people go out. But then we have to sanitize in between. So there's a lot, and then do you have the restrooms public or not? Because then you've got, everything that happens, then the sanitation is gonna be put on the town office employees. So I think I'll talk to Wayne, and if you don't mind, I'll email you with what his suggestions are, and then we can go from there and see.
We might want to wait and see if there's gonna be another surge coming anyways.
I think we should wait. I think we should at least wait till the end of June. I can't see, we were talking about if you opened on Monday, the 15th, next Monday, well, that next Wednesday, we're closed to the public anyway. So why would we even do it that week? And then if we waited till the next month, it's the 22nd. So just wait till the end of June and then
That
see
makes sense,
what.
especially when you have people that don't feel really comfortable with it right now.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah. Okay, so
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
that's it for me.
All right, Gary, do you have an update on your liver committee or little?
Well, it's been a little slow. No. Jason Levitt has hooked us up with a couple of cameras we're going to choose from, because Liz and I had said we'd get things started by a couple of cameras. And so we're in the process of that. Also talking and discussing all of this with the police chief. I don't know if you noticed, but he put something out.
I did notice.
Last week, and then I copied it to my site, and we're gonna work off of that to come up with a group statement, joint statement for the town to put out, and just again, let everybody know what we're up to. But I'll have that pretty quick here. I'm gonna basically take it off of that, because he put a good piece out there.
Okay.
So, and I thanked him, and, everybody wants the same thing. Like I said, we discussed the camera issue, and gonna work that out too, so.
We have
I'm sorry, there's been a lot of
They're
complaints.
down on Can Road.
Yeah, there's been a lot of complaints. I reached out to a couple of people and posted pictures of mattresses and different things out there, and I've spoken to them about their roads and things that happen, and to keep an eye out, if you see something, say something, and these people are all for it. So there's been 2 or 3 roads where things have been done where the people are on board. They're gonna keep their eyes out, see if they can see anything, and so people are getting it, but we just haven't put it all out there yet, but we will.
Good. Does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss? What's the, no?
No comments.
I forgot what the agenda review is.
Oh, that's if anyone wants to add anything to the
Right.
agenda. That's supposed to be the beginning, isn't it?
It depends,
We had a rough start, so we.
Oh, did I miss something?
Nothing like that. It's just
It can
we
be
didn't
wherever.
follow- We didn't follow the agenda correctly.
I have a,
You
Um,
want me to
Public announcements?
Barnstead Farmers Market starts Saturday, so
Very
get
good.
right down there.
Very good.
Okay,
And
where
we're-
the signs
All the
were.
locals.
Where are we on the Barnstead Beach off of White Oak Road? Down the fire lane 9 there?
Oh, Wayne was in charge of that, wasn't he, making the decision if it's gonna open the beach?
No, I think you're talking about the property,
Talking
the
about
beach
property
property for sale.
There in the,
Right,
Oh, you're talking about,
Yeah.
fire.
yes.
Yeah, fire lane.
If they wanted to put an association together or something like that.
Well, we've reached out, we've already reached out to the 9 owners and sent letters, and we've said, okay, we've given them the opportunity to maybe form an association as a group and come in with a price, an offer. They weren't able to come up with that, and so we let them know that we were gonna put a warrant on for town meeting to sell it. And town meeting voted to do that. So the question is, do we wanna advertise? Typically, by law, you absolutely can do it. We usually go through a real estate agent, and they'll advertise it. And then, then you'll
Well-
pass on any bids, but.
the reason I brought it up was because there's a picnic table, there's boats, there's a tiki bar, there's everything sitting on that.
Back down there, because we had them remove everything for the winter, which they did. Okay, so now, and,
We've
right,
been doing that for years. Those people have been using that property
But
for
still,
years.
they've been given an opportunity, to do
Right.
it the right way, and they
I
haven't
guess-
taken advantage of
Well, I
it.
think
The
so.
real question there is, do we need to block it off and put up signs and kick them out of there until they do something?
They
Or-
have they have
Right.
a right to use the beach.
They
So
have a-
everybody has the right to use the beach.
Huh?
So everybody in Barnstead can use that beach.
Well, I would like to see that happen, but,
Is that what we're saying?
no,
well,
it's hard.
I mean, see, this is the dilemma. The piece of property, before it was turned over to the town, only those 9 people that didn't have any waterfront property could use that. It was specific to them. Now that it's town-owned property, you could have people down there, the town down there. It's a very small lot.
It's a beautiful beach down there.
It
It's
is.
gorgeous.
It is, but regardless, even if you open it up, I don't know why you would open it up as a town beach, there's no parking. There's absolutely no parking. You could never take away the rights of those 9 people to be able to use it. It's in every one of their deeds.
Right.
So, at this point, the best thing the town could do is to sell it, and whoever buys that will be just one more owner that would still have to allow those 9 people access. And if they wanted to change that or form an association or go to court, they could do whatever they wanted, but it would take the liability off the town of owning that piece of property. It will be a nightmare to try to have that small piece open up for anyone to use. Like I say, there's no parking. There's absolutely no parking.
But if you sent a letter stating that this is what we're planning on doing, it might nudge those other
Well,
owners
that's what I
to.
was thinking.
They would have every opportunity, like anyone else, to reach out to that real estate
It's also
agent.
gonna be hard to sell under its current conditions.
With 9 other people, being able to use
The
it.
9 other people still get to use it. I mean, what are they
But
really
they don't
about?
get to put their tiki bars and all that stuff on there. So they're gonna have to put
Right.
that on our property.
They're gonna do that as long as they get away with it.
Right, because the deeds are very specific. It says you can, this is
It's access.
access for you to use the beach. It doesn't say you can have anything on the beach. So again, that's something that whoever buys it would have to deal with.
Maybe the selectmen's beach.
So,
Yeah. Make the selectmen's beach.
Tiki bar, sure.
so how would you like to go forward? Do you want to send one more letter to these individuals and say we're getting ready to advertise it?
I would say this is the final opportunity for,
Okay.
and if not, and we cannot control whether if the townspeople decide to use the beach.
And
That's
so basically it's open to the public.
Right, right.
because you have, they're gonna put their stuff on that piece of land. Well, who's to say people just aren't gonna park their cars wherever they wanna park it down there?
Or walk right down, right, well, Public beach.
So,
Yeah, why can't anyone go down there with their kayaks and go right in? That could be a nice boat ramp, actually.
Again, have you been down there, Lori?
Yes. I
Because
have, it's gorgeous down there.
Yeah,
But
you gotta
the
back your
lane-
boat all the way up from the main road.
the fire lane that goes down there is a private way. It's not owned by, that's not town land. So these 9 people also have access to use that road to come down there. So town people, you know, I mean, once you drop off your kayak, then where are you gonna park? You can't park there.
So, when I was reading the deed on this property, it was very confusing because it sounded like there was like a well on this land, a building on this land.
There's no building.
Yeah, there's absolutely no building.
There's a little something there.
There's a dock that probably is.
People put out,
Not beyond that. property.
right, they put out their aluminum docks to put their boats up against. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
You know, I forgot about it, but I'll reread that deed and come back with some
and
questions.
we have sent it off to get legal opinion. So, and the legal opinion is that because the people, the 9 people thought, oh, no one could just buy it, but whoever owns it has the same right as the other 9 and then would need to come up with some solution for what's gonna work. So we've already gotten legal opinion on that.
I would be willing to take whatever offer came to sell that property. Now, you might say, and the people in town might say, oh, well, you didn't sell it for enough money. I would sell the damn thing for $1 just to get out from underneath it.
Well, I wouldn't do that. That's a damn good piece of property.
Do you want 9 people using your beach?
I'll buy it for
If they
$1.
can't put their belongings on it, they're not gonna want it. All they're gonna do is walk through it and walk in the
Yeah, the
water.
thing is, they're putting it on our property right now.
Right.
I would be happy if they put it on their own property or somebody else's property, not the town.
I understand, but why give some away for nothing when you don't have to?
Because it's a liability to us.
It's a liability right now.
Exactly. And we should take steps to remove all that stuff that's down there.
I believe that you are correct about that. I think we should be cleaning that beach right off. And
I
the sign
agree.
should be up, this is town property.
So if you want to send them
Access
another,
to those 9 only to the water.
if you wanted to send them another, you know, Mother Be Nice to Me letter, and ask them to take care of their property and inform them that if it's not done by a certain date,
You may-
the town will remove it.
You may want to mention that they're in the letter that the items on the beach
Need to be removed.
need to be removed. That
Until-
might push some.
Something's resolved. Yep.
Fine.
Subject to confiscation.
We're not giving it away for a dollar yet.
I keep using that. And I think
I'll
we
say
should.
it, but I don't want to end up holding a sale.
$8,000.
I thought, you know, we were
Not
so
to me.
concerned about
Not to
liability,
this
how
town,
we're
it's
not
not.
putting a sign up
Some asshole.
saying that this is
Well,
town
good.
property.
Hundreds of that.
You find it and I'll
I don't
support
want a
it.
sign up that says that. I don't understand, we're always concerned about liability, but I've mentioned this several times in the last several months. Why don't we have a sign up that says this is town property, you swim at your own risk?
Well, it's town, okay, yes. We can put a sign, it's town property
should
and
be-
those 9 and, okay, but we can get a sign up.
I'm just saying, you're always concerned about liability. Why isn't, we're waiving our liability, responsibility by not having a sign up. So I don't understand why we don't have a sign up down there.
So we'll
Or
get a
or
sign up.
any of the other ones, for that matter. I think there is one at the regular.
I think there is.
It
Isn't
does
there
have
a
list
sign
of
at the regular
rules and
town?
Oh,
responsibilities
absolutely,
in
yes,
Yeah.
yes, because that's
But we have
a
another
real
little one on
town
Narrows
beach.
Road. We have
So it
that
has
one.
rules. Yes, okay. We will put up
And
a
there
sign.
should be signs up at any public ramps throughout the town as well. Public ramp that people go, like on Narrows Road, I think there is a sign there, isn't there, that you're doing this at your own risk?
Well, you don't have to
Those
have
are
that at a boat ramp.
Why not?
Because, well, the body of water and some of the boat ramps are taken care of by the state of New Hampshire.
Okay. Well, I don't know, I'm just asking, because we do have a little beach on Narrows Road.
Right, but that's across
That's
the bridge
town.
from the boat
The
ramp.
boat launch is not,
Right, but do we
Town.
have a sign up at that little tiny beach at McNair's Road?
I don't know.
Well, these are the kinds
think
of
we
things, you
had-
guys make a big deal to me whenever I bring stuff up about liability.
That
I'm
one's
just
been
saying,
there
we
my
should
whole
look at
life.
all these things and make
Yeah,
sure
we had
that
a-
we do.
Well, we had a sign that was
I'm
put
just
up there,
saying,
I'm
just
thinking.
checking. Maybe I'll drive around one day and look.
I'd like to see us put some money in escrow, and the first time that first abutting property comes up for sale, the town buy that house, tear it down, and expand that beach at the Narrows. Yeah, I like that one.
Trying to think of which house you're talking about. The one
Very
that owns
first
the
one.
other half of the beach?
Excuse me?
Right,
Is that the one that owns the other half of the beach,
Right.
basically?
Right.
If it stocks.
Right. It only costs us a couple
Please
hundred
don't
thousand
do
dollars.
that, Gary.
Ed, I don't know why you haven't bought it yet. Donated it to the town.
All right, let's move it here now. All right. Okay, so can we do public input? So I'd like to open up public input at 6:46.
any
Andrew?
comments?
Anybody watching? Oh! Can you make a comment, Andrew, on there, or do they hear us that, can you explain how they make a public comment using YouTube? Because I guess there's some question about how to do that.
All you have to do is.
So can you tell everybody on that video right now, like how to make a comment using YouTube?
Yeah, so basically, if you're using a computer, there's a chat box to the right of the video, and there's your little icon that says say something. You click on that and you type whatever you want to say, and hit enter.
Shows up here.
Okay. So if anyone's out there and you just heard Andrew and you have something to say, now is the time, or forever hold your peace. We want to hear from you. So we're just trying to figure out if this comments thing is working. If it's not and you're having trouble, please email Karen and let us know if there's an issue with commenting using this feature, using this way of meeting. Because we want to hear from you.
Have there been 4 online then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just waiting. Any public input?
When do we actually want to open up the meetings? Revisit
Well-
that in July possibly?
And I think after Monday, the 10-person limit might be extended as well,
Oh, they
so.
may be extending the 10%?
So, yeah, I think we wait until
I
after
didn't
next
see
Monday.
what he said today, so I'm not really sure.
Okay.
about them.
Yeah, I
Right,
believe
they're
increasing
considering,
indoors.
right, more than 10, allowing more than 10.
Yeah.
Oh, so they will be allowing more than 10?
They're considering that, so
I heard 50 in restaurants.
I think 50% capacity is with the
50%
6.
capacity is the southern part of the state, 100% is Belmont.
Lake Street and above is on.
Yeah. But they still have to do the 6 feet,
Right, if they can,
Yeah,
right,
so it's
to
gonna
accommodate.
probably end up being
Feet at
50%
100%
capacity.
capacity.
Yeah,
That's
follow
impossible.
the rules, Rick.
Hey. I went to Macros the other night, I loved it.
I went to Hackerly's, it was fantastic. It was so nice. I went to choose to be out.
All right, any public input, Andrew? All right, so I'm gonna close public input at 6:48. Okay, is there any non-public today, Karen?
I don't believe there was any, unless someone has, and wants to discuss anything that was in the legal folder.
I didn't look at the legal
Um,
folder.
And it may not even be in here, I know Ed grabbed some of the folders, I don't know if he
I
grabbed
don't
them
think
all,
there was really anything.
No, nothing. The only thing, I really felt bad about the senior center and them trying to do the senior center. I don't know if there's enough land that attached to that Parks and Rec garage to build on a rec center. No, probably not.
I can't imagine there is, and because the all the surrounding land is conservation.
So, I'm wondering if we could maybe look for grants, I can review some grants to, if maybe we could think about using, the only piece of property we really own that we could do anything with is that 126, correct? Or is there other properties in town?
Well, and again, you're asking to look into grants for some private organization, so, I mean, because it would be
This town, isn't it?
no, but I thought what you're asking about is a senior center
Right,
and the
but
cap.
what I was thinking is maybe doing a recreation center for the town, and then the senior
Oh.
center could maybe go in there, because it pays for itself with its funding. So I'm wondering if we should look at a bigger picture and think about a future recreation center for the town. And that's what I'm thinking, Karen.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have.
No, that's fine.
I'm thinking in my head.
So the grant person, whoever the
Yeah,
grant
so
person
I'm
is.
wondering, is Route 26 the only property we have that is feasible to do anything with? Or
No.
is there any other property in town that we could use to build a rec center if we got a grant?
You have 18 acres right behind you.
Well, we couldn't do a solar farm there. I mean, everybody's complaining about that. I'm just trying to figure out, well, you keep saying we have 18 acres back there, but every time I ask about it, everyone says, oh no, we can't do anything with it. So,
It was purchased with the intent of developing a municipal park, if you will, police department. At the time, there was a new town hall,
Community center.
community center, and all of
where
that.
can you put a community center? Because we're gonna build onto the town hall to expand the town hall and have maybe a new meeting space and an office space. So where are you thinking for a community center?
there any?
You have a road, you have a right of way
Own
from the
properties
police
like
station
buildings on
all the way behind that comes out where the buses are.
Okay, but I keep asking about that. Can we take a look at that, Ed?
Take a look at it.
Show me what you're talking about, because I don't know what you're talking about.
I believe,
We need a few hundred
I
thousand.
believe what Ed is referring to is we had Plan New Hampshire come in several years ago. It was a group of very professionals, engineers, and we got a grant. And so they looked at these 18 acres, but their proposal was to have sort of a downtown shopping area building with multiple uses that
I
could be
saw it.
communities.
I saw the
Yes,
plan.
so I think that might be what he's referring to. But of course, we couldn't go forward if we didn't have the money,
Right.
you know, it wasn't voted to go forward.
See, there's a difference between a senior center and senior housing. Now, you couldn't put senior housing back here because I think one of the requirements from the federal side is you have to be within walking distance of services, the post office, the grocery stores, so forth and so on. Okay? Now, if you consider that the White Buffalo is an adequate grocery facility, well, good,
John the General might be.
go for it. But for a senior center, if you will, or a rec center for the town, there it sits. All you
Yeah, but we
have,
can't do it back here.
why? You
Because
don't.
I've been told numerous times every time I've asked, is that
Well,
it's the town hall that's going back here and parking.
Lori, do you know how big an acre is?
Yes,
How big is it?
it's big.
Yeah.
So
Well then, how big is 18 acres?
it's big, but it's
Bigger.
right from here to the police station is not 18 acres.
No, you're
18
absolutely
acres
right.
goes way back there, but every time I
No,
ask,
it does not go way back there.
I don't know where it goes. Can you show me?
It goes, think of
Can you show
126
me?
and think of parallel to
I
126.
need a visual. I'm like a guy. I need visual. Can you show me?
That was perfect, Rick.
You got the wrong sense on that one.
When we leave, I'll show you on the map in the other room.
You've done that, and I still don't understand.
Can I ask a
Well,
question?
then, I don't know what, I don't know
Why
what to
can't you
do.
just show it to me?
The land's available.
Why can't you just
The
see it?
land is already available.
Do
It's
you-
just as structure.
We own
And you have to have
any
the money
town
for it
properties
to
with
build
buildings
or
on.
construct.
With a building already on it?
Yes.
That piece of property down there, it's not the greatest building.
That's 126 she's talking about.
Okay, is there any other properties that have a structure on them that could, that might already have like the infrastructure of the plumbing and all that stuff?
No.
I'll
No.
give you something to think
How
about.
about Hannah Nutter?
There's no structures down there. In the parade, there's a building. It was built initially as a firehouse back in the 40s. The fire department built a new firehouse in the 70s, I believe. They sold the old building to Paul King. Paul King ran a garage out of this building for a number of years until he finally decided to retire. Now, if you ask him why he doesn't do something with it, he'll tell you it's his retirement. The man is as old as I am, that's 73. When is he going to start enjoying his retirement and get rid of that building and use the money to do what he'd like to do? Okay? Now the problem with that building is, again, it wasn't built as a community center, it was built as a firehouse. We used to have all kinds of events upstairs in that building.
Bingo.
We used to have all kinds of dinners. There's a small kitchen, but there was all kinds of parties held up there, reunions, welcoming parties, the whole thing. Okay? The septic system is small to non-existent. But that's a building that's worth looking at and trying to convince Paul King to sell it to you.
For Dawn?
I couldn't get too far in retirement.
The point about this land out back here, there you have the police station, you see it, you ride by it, you can ride around it, you can do anything you want. That whole building doesn't take up an acre.
No kidding.
So if you go just beyond that,
She's trying to
right
envision.
past there, up beyond the back of the cemetery, you can visualize the cemetery, can't you?
Can you drive down there?
No, because it's still just an overgrown field. But it's certainly capable of a roadway being put in there, and I have advocated for that for a long time. Put the roadway in all the way around to make it so that if somebody wanted to build something there, it would be more accessible and part of the legwork would be done. But it's never come to fruition.
Another thought might be if we were to put the addition on Town Hall out towards the police station, part of that plan would be to have a meeting room. So then that might open up this area for a senior center or community center, depending on how much space they need. Because we already have a kitchen here, I'm sure whatever we add on, it could be included or at least discussed at that point, which would, and especially if we could get some grant monies or whatever, we might be able to do it as one big plan and then not impact the town as much, so.
We just have to do something about the stage, because that's space that can't be utilized. Huh?
We're not gonna have shows.
You can't use the stage.
Well, what would they need a stage
It's
for?
unused space.
Well, that can all be
Huh?
dealt with later. First, you
Right.
have to have a place.
Right.
That's
And
a
I
great
thought that we
idea.
were gonna give this to the historical society, but I guess.
Well, no, not the building, the plan is to put an addition on so we can stay here for the next, 20 years plus and still meet the public's needs. So that we wouldn't have to build a new building, because, you want to keep expense down as much as you can. It was just an idea, just
No,
throwing
I
it out there.
like the idea, because I just think we really need a rec center for this town. I really think we could utilize
So
one.
if you do your grant hunt for a metal building, somewhere where they could, the steel building or whatever, that you could just, put the fields in and then have a meeting area or whatever. Kind of like Seacoast.
From the septic, well, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Okay. All right. Is that it? Anything else, anybody? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
And what time is it, Andrew? 656.